What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 54. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. How you guys doing? I got, once again, Tune Thy Heart, AA Ron with me. How's it going, brother?
What's up, y'all? Good to see you guys.
And Demon Racers. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, as usual.
Are you going out of town this week? Because you've been pretty much everywhere lately. I saw you didn't you just release a podcast with John Pounders?
I did, yeah. That just happened. Dude, I'm on a bunch of podcasts. I don't even know where I'm going. I think I'm going to Hodge Twins soon here. I'm going to get on their show.
Brian, just don't forget about us when you're really famous.
I won't. You're coming with me. We're going along.
Okay, that's good. You guys heard that. You guys all heard that. You know what, Brian? I want to start this week with something you said, and I'm not even exactly sure if this is exactly what you meant, but the idea kind of like almost going back to that idea originally we had about could the devil be a man who's interacting with people today? You know, we did like probably 3 podcasts talking about that idea. And I was thinking about it with the idea of kind of like everybody, well, not everyone knows, but if you guys are not aware, every time a president's inaugurated in the Scottish Rite Freemasonry building in Washington, D.C., they do this raising of Osiris ceremony.
Right between the Washington Monument and the Dome of Isis, which is the Capitol building. Now, this is fascinating because the original ritual had to take place between in a courtyard, between a dome and an obelisk. Putting those two together like that creates a power generator, literally a generator for this ritual. And the idea is that the seed of Osiris, the seed, is going to come up and emit out of the phallic symbol, which is the Washington Monument, and it's going to take over whoever our president is. Now, this sounds crazy, but think about this. In ancient Egypt, what had happened was the pharaoh would go through this ritual, he would enter in a man, and he would exit the ritual a god. That was their belief. And they believed that their pharaoh was literally the embodiment of Osiris because of that ritual. They were calling him up out of the underworld. So what we have in America is this same ritual, basically, that the Freemasons believe that they have maintained the proper language and the ritual to a T from the ancient world. They claim to have this still today at the inauguration of every U.S. president. The president is up there, right there between the dome and the obelisk, right there in that power generator, and right around the corner at the Herodome, which is what they call the Masonic Mecca of the world, literally. The Herodome is this temple, this massive, crazy temple in D.C. They are up there beneath that magic square we were talking about, that magic 666 square, binding the influence and the power of the Word of God. They believe they're binding the power of the Bible while they do this ritual, And they are literally doing the raising of Osiris ritual while the presidential inauguration happens at every election. And they are literally calling on the spirit of Osiris to raise up, or Apollo, however you want to slice it, to come out of the underworld and to possess the president. So the president, the president-elect walks into this ritual a man, exits the ritual a god.
I've heard that, and we really don't know the depths of that. And I guess I kind of want to explore that today. I just think it's an interesting idea of like, what if, again, we were talking last week about how these angels or spirits are disembodied. So they need a vessel. So what if that idea that they are trying to summon this entity, this spirit, to go into a man, and like literally like now somebody's interacting with Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not called Zeus. He's called
Obama.
Barack Obama. He's called Joe
Mm-hmm.
Biden. Maybe not Joe Biden. He's called Donald Trump.
I don't think that ceremony worked very well.
That one didn't stick.
His brain, they backfired, and it turned his brain into scrambled eggs.
Because this is younger brother.
But is that kind of what the idea you were presenting is? Do you really think that is like when you get to the very high level of the cabal? Is that what they're trying to do? Where it's like, okay, so now we got this person, we've been prepping this person, and now he's going to be the vessel for the evil one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is happening. I mean, Cyrus the Great is now embodied into Donald Trump. And that was a person in the biblical narrative, but it's a demon now. And it's a demon that's going by that identity. And so there's actually posters of Cyrus Lives all over Israel right now with Donald Trump. Have you seen those Cyrus Lives posters? I
mean, I've seen the coins that were depicting Donald Trump and kind of like this new King Cyrus.
Yep. And so it's the same kind of thing. It's the spirit that has hijacked that identity that is embodying the person. So they were able to endow the individuals with the spirit. So like Zeus is still roaming on the earth. He's gone into multiple different people. He was in George Washington, or he represented George Washington if he wasn't directly in him, or if even George Washington was real, who knows at this point. And then he was in Zeus. He was definitely in Obama at one point because Obama spoke from the temple of Zeus. That was Obama declaring like he is possessed by the entity of Zeus. So like Obama's listening to things in his ear that are talking to him, just like other people that have demons influencing him. But the demon influencing Obama was once the entity that they called Zeus. That entity still exists as a spirit on the earth. It's a one individual entity, and that thing follows whoever the leaders are and tries to endow his influence over the person, possess that person, get integrated with their life as much as he possibly can, to the point where the demon starts to hijack or take over that person's body. That's how demons work. These entities that are doing it to certain individuals. So like if you went to Obama and you said, in the name of Jesus, I bind the spirit of Zeus, Obama would probably be like, and he'd like probably like start freaking out. And it would like this is how it works with demons. Like, what that entity is, and once you recognize it, that's literally how they move.
What are your thoughts, Aaron, on that?
No, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, we've seen so much to support that over the years, and you see these people, their behaviors, it makes so much more sense than them having an earpiece with someone like, in a back room with a microphone being like, hey, this is, I mean, I'm sure that happens also, but we're talking about principalities, rulers in high places. That what Ephesians 6:12, like that literally is talking about exactly what Brian just described. And so
they don't get it right all the time either. They miss it sometimes because their humanity is still a part of the vessel, which is why you'll see them do things that are kind of erratic, and you're like, wait, why'd they do that? I thought they were a bad guy. And then you're like, but that's weird. Well, that's their humanity coming through.
They're not all fully taken over.
Yeah, they're not fully
by these things.
Yeah, exactly. So their attempted process of taking them over.
And I remember seeing, on that note, I forget what his name was, but he was one of the newer guys that's been talking about a lot of that stuff. You guys might remember his name, but he was talking about Reynolds? He was talking about how it's a bloodline thing, and he was saying how The people
Mm,
that come,
mm,
well, I don't agree with everything he says, and I'm not sure about him. I'll just put that out there right now. But he did say one thing that made a lot of sense, logically
Well, he says a
speaking.
lot of things that make a lot of sense. He says a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense too.
mm.
Correct.
But yeah, I
But
think
but the one thing he said was the bloodline thing, and he was
yeah,
saying that
for
like the
sure.
people that carry the actual blood, like the Nephilim bloodline, they actually can handle these spirits taking over, and they are also still part themselves. But the people that don't have the Nephilim or the Nephilim bloodline, they're too weak for it. So these spirits come in and take them over and fully take them over completely. Like there's nothing left inside anymore.
Well, it's
And
kind of
I
like the
mean,
movie Venom too. They have this symbiote, right? And then some space alien demonic goo, and then it's killing most the hosts. But then they find Eddie Brock and they
right.
gain symbiosis. But yeah, not everyone can handle this power.
Yep.
And then so the symbiote kills them.
It makes sense. I'm not saying none of us know for sure whether that's true or not, but I mean, there obviously is something. There is some delineating factor that separates the people that can retain a little bit of themselves and the ones that are just fully taken over. We see it in celebrities, even, right? Like we see some celebrities that are just fully they're not them anymore. They haven't been for a minute, and then you see other ones who are like sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. They're in and out. They're back and forth. And I don't know. I don't know what that's based on.
I'll give you my theories and my experiences with this. There was a deliverance minister friend of mine cast out a demon from a girl. The demon started speaking to the woman, and the demon said she's a bride of Satan, and my friend started mocking her, like mocking the demon. A bride of Satan. Oh, you're so special. He's like, oh, you must be real special. And the demon and the woman started laughing, and goes, she's not special. She's pathetic. He goes, she's just one of many brides. And this is the girl speaking this out of her mouth to the guy. Because at first, like, because a lot of times demons will possess people, and there are a lot of times it's pride that's like governing most people that are demon possessed, especially when
Yeah,
they
I agree
talk.
with that.
It's the spirit of pride. So he's like just kind of teasing it, kind of like, she must be real special because she's just some random person. She's not anything, somebody that's like of power or authority, but she's calling herself a bride of Satan. The demon is speaking through her mouth and starts laughing. And he's like, no, she's pathetic. She's nothing. Like you think a bride of Satan, you think that's worth something? And then the demon started to explain. It said to my friend, said, she is one of many that we plan on endowing our seed into. That's what he said through the girl's mouth to him. And she was out. She wasn't talking. It was something talking through her. And he goes, oh, if that's the case, then what are you? And he goes, me? The entity? He goes, I'm the guard that's supposed to protect the vessel so that the entity can be born through this one. And then like, but she's pathetic. She's nothing. And so like, he was kind of like tripped up. He was like, bro, I need to tell you something because the demon said this thing. I want to run it by you. It's pretty freaking weird. What do you think of this? Because he's like, I know you talk a lot about Nephilim stuff and you talk about this kind of thing all the time. And then he said out the girl's mouth, I think he said the prepared her blood to carry the vessel. That's what that's what the demon spoke out of this girl's mouth.
Oh, that's
Now,
creepy.
Yeah, that's what the girl said
Is there winning
to him.
So there's many more hosts than
Yeah.
there once was.
Oh yeah, he said and he said the hosts are nothing. He said they're not valuable at all.
Of course, this
He
will
said
probably
they're
have to go on the Patreon cut now that we're talking about this. But isn't that idea like that there was like graphene in, and if you really think about it, we've shown clips of like the Venom stuff again, that the graphene looks almost like the black goo.
Well, you know what's crazy about all of this is that we never fully talked about my April 8th experience, but we talked about talking about it at one point. And one of the things that happened to me on April 8th, 2024, when the eclipse happened, like the big one that everyone was tripping out about, I had a number of experiences that night. But one of the things that took place was like, and I'm just going to be totally honest, like, I don't get visions a whole lot. I mostly get like, I hate this phrase, but it's the best way to put it. Like the Holy Spirit will give me downloads sometimes, and I just kind of know something, and it's specific, and it's not for everyone. It's like it's for me, and whatever. But in this specific scenario, I had a vision, and I saw some kind of pit being opened, and I saw so many demonic entities and spirits flying out of it.
It's like Ghostbusters. You know, like when that one
Dude,
scene where they're all coming
like
out.
I'm telling you, like I felt it, I saw it, like if I were asked on a lie detector test if that's what happened, I would say yes and I would pass. Like it was so vivid. And I remember shortly after it happened, I was thinking, where are they going? What are they going to do? And then I remember like he kind of walked me through it, and I was like, dude, there are more willing vessels right now than there ever have been. And I remember the shot came to mind with everything you guys are talking about right now, in conjunction with where society's got everybody. You know, you got people out there with their hands to the sky saying like, aliens come and get me. Like, you know, like they're ready
Star
for all of
seeds.
that. All of that, dude. They're so ready and prepared. Like there are so many open and usable vessels than there ever were before. And so you guys are saying all of this, and it's just bringing all of that back to me, and I'm thinking about it all. And so, yeah, I think y'all are onto something.
You know, it's
Okay.
interesting when you think about the presidents, though. If we're going to talk about like the high level principalities, right? Osiris is embodying American president. Isn't it really interesting when you think about when they always show like what the guy looked like when he went into office and then what he looked like when he left office, and how these people look like they aged in 4 years what normal people age in like 20 years. They
Mhm.
look like Obama. He looked very young when he first got in office. He looked old when he left. Do you think it could be something that the tax of
I mean, that
that
was an 8-year
spirit,
difference too.
that spirit drained a lot of his actual life out of him?
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. So, like you mentioned, our best friend, what's his name again?
Nathan.
Yeah, our best friend Nathan.
Oh,
You mentioned
I wasn't
Nathan.
gonna mention him, but
You know, and he mentioned it's about the bloodline stuff. Now, here's what I was gonna say. Like, but the reality is this: like, we talk about the black goo not finding a good host. I'm gonna tell you right now, the bad hosts of the black goo are people with schizophrenia that I deal with that are in mental wards. Okay, those are people that got the black goo on them and the spiritual realm, and they were not viable hosts. And why they weren't viable hosts, I'm gonna tell you why. They're not viable hosts because their heart is not wicked enough to do the thing the demon wants them to do. That's why they're not viable hosts. That's why
it's the polarity is the fact that there's this battle, and that what creates the completely schizo personality.
Well, yeah, exactly. So like the polarity is creating that. Absolutely. And so like the people that are viable hosts, like Eddie Brock, for instance, is somebody who would do wicked things and be okay with it and had no conscious immoral standard. They're lying to you about the narrative. The bad guys that are not good hosts are people that are too conflicted with their heart to do the wicked thing.
Well, that's the thing. That's actually lines up with the Spider-Man comic books because Spider-Man had the suit first.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker's good.
Yeah.
And
he
so
was
he
constantly
could
fighting it off.
He eventually had to fight it off. And interestingly enough, in the research we do, he went to the top of a church.
Yeah,
then the bells are the ones that shook the suit off him.
Which is funny
because he could not. That was the interesting part, because he could not get the suit off on his own, as strong as Peter Parker is, because he's like 10 times the normal human strength. So he couldn't rip it off, but he had to go to a church to exorcise the demon.
It's so true. It's really true, and it's funny because straight up, dude, like that's what I'm talking about. Like,
but it's interesting too. So Eddie Brock hated Peter Parker. So in the comic books,
because he's wicked.
He hated him.
He's got evil in his heart.
And so when
that's why he's a good host.
The suit dripped down and fell down. Eddie Brock was in the church, and then so he accepted the host right away. And it was because he just
in the church. Isn't that disturbing?
The suit and Eddie Brock hated Peter Parker after that, and then so they gained symbiosis.
That's so disturbing when you really think about it. Like he was in the church, like
Side note, though, the frequency being put off from the bells, there's a handful of movies that where all of the bad guys or aliens, so to speak, are destroyed with frequencies.
That's true. That's
So,
true. I was just
so
watching the
like,
Thunderbolts, and there's the character Ghost, and
mhm,
Ghost could not do her ghostly thing when the frequencies were messing up
yeah,
her morphing.
Mars Attacks at the very end. The old lady in the home, she finds out that the aliens, I think that's how it goes. She finds out that they can't handle the frequencies. So when they figure that out, they start driving around town. Everybody starts broadcasting like a specific song on the radio. They crank up the radio and it starts exploding their heads. Like all of their heads start exploding
disturbing.
from this specific song. So yeah, I think
They're telling
yeah.
us their weakness. Yes, from movie.
Well, I mean, honestly, I do think that that's what we've kind of discussed on this show before about how that we are on this kind of frequency level as humans, right? And then the demonic is on a different frequency.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
operate in a different
it's on a
frequency that
lower
we can't
vibe,
see.
right? You know, I'm sure that the
Mhm.
angelic things operate on a higher frequency. So it makes sense that there would be that sound which we cannot see affects those beings in different ways. Just like a dog
Yeah.
whistle. Like you can't hear it, like we can't hear a dog
Yeah,
whistle,
hear
but the
the dog
dogs can
whistle.
hear it.
But it
But so whatever that
silences them
sound
immediately.
is. And it does make sense that, yeah, that of course in the old world they would have had knowledge of sounds and frequencies, and those things would disrupt the demonic realm.
I talk about this all the time, and I say like all a radio is a sound frequency conversion to the human audible listening range device. That's it. So it's like there's other sounds and all these other frequencies we can't hear because every radio station's happening around your head right now, all of them at once. But if you had a radio, it would just grab those frequencies and other sound waves and other frequencies that you can't hear and convert them into the human audible listening range of frequency. That's all it's doing.
Literally why my username is Tune Thy Heart. Because when you tune your heart to the things of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, you find his frequency. And that's where you want to stay.
Yeah, that's great.
So interesting. I want to show a little part of this, maybe give a visual of what we're talking about. If you guys have seen that movie, X-Men Apocalypse. So Apocalypse in the comic books was some kind of an ancient mutant. And then he's taken many forms over the years. And the very beginning of the movie, they show kind of how he is reborn, or maybe it's a flashback to when he was born in like ancient Egypt. But this is really interesting.
Simakak, Abechem Hauku.
So you see in that scene, they're showing Apocalypse laying on some kind of a stone tablet, and he's in the middle of a pyramid. And so his body and his essence is transferred to this Egyptian king, and then he's reborn as this man. And it's like exactly what we're talking about. It's like they're doing this wicked ceremony with these other mutants. And so
in the pyramid.
Yeah, in a pyramid, and they have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I mean, it's really interesting when you think about that story. And again, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but supposedly, like the pyramids were like lost or forgotten or something until the times of like Napoleon. And so when Napoleon was conquering northern Africa, he discovered the pyramids, and for some reason he was very fascinated with them. I wonder why. But the story goes that the Napoleon actually went into the Great Pyramid in Giza and spent the night in the coffin in the king's chamber.
He got endowed with some kind of thing.
That what we're
Oh, yeah.
talking about? Is that what they're showing you? Is that this man who became this world conqueror was doing that in order to be born again as Osiris?
Oh yeah, that's totally exactly what was happening, I think. They were literally like straight up showing you how the entities possess new hosts and move forward in different avenues. That's totally what was going on. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, that kind of thing where even in the Freemasonry rituals, where that's
Yeah.
like the basic conversion of I'm not sure exactly what degree that
The
is.
rising of Osiris. Or
When they
whatever.
go into a coffin and then they die and then they're reborn into this different thing. Now, obviously they do that, and that sounds like it's not like you don't have to become like a 33rd degree level to do that ritual. But maybe that's exactly it's a
You
it's
see
a
that guy that
ritual that's
snuck in
done.
and
It's
did
a
that?
ritual that's done whether symbolically for the lower initiated, but it's a thing that they probably do maybe when you get to the highest degrees. You're the host for this entity,
Mm-hmm.
and then now you're ready to rule and command the troops.
That's exactly what it is. And that dude from I think he's like Arizona or something, his background, and he like joined the Freemasons for 2 years just to get to the highest level he could get to, and then filmed the ritual and then posted it all online. Did you see that, dude?
No.
It's pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny. So he like filmed one of the whole rituals of the person like dying and being like, "Hi, I'm Rama Biff," whatever. Like, it's pretty hilarious.
And he survived?
He posted online. He's like a news dude online. He's like a troll news guy. He's kind of funny.
So they obviously wanted us to see it.
So Aaron, what do you think about talking about Napoleon, that he spent the night in a coffin? I said, was that only part of the story? Was he accepting the spirit of Osiris?
No, that could be it. I know that's not the first time I've heard that. I remember hearing a story about the day that Trump was elected into office the first time. John Kerry flew to Antarctica.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that.
That day, and evidently like a handful of other people did as well, like Bill Clinton and a few other people. And allegedly they all met in a pyramid there, like specifically for like a specific purpose for a specific cause. And I remember thinking that then. I remember thinking like, is there's some sort of changing of the guard, like something is going on, and whatever their ritual or their ceremony is to usher one spirit in from one body to the next, or whatever it is they do, whatever their point of contact is. Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. I bet if you look all throughout history, there's probably been a handful of different rituals taking place specifically in pyramids for our elected officials. I wouldn't even be surprised.
I love that. It seemed almost like Trump wasn't fully a good, suitable host. That's why they were throwing a fit about it. And then eventually he became one. He became a really good host. It's
That
almost
actually
like,
does seem like that. I agree with that.
yeah, they were like, oh no, could we get the entity to possess him? And then they found the right formula to get him possessed. And now he's full on brainwashed into this form of possession as the demon talking in his ear. Spirit of Cyrus, which is probably Osiris, by the way. Cyrus the Great is Osiris. It's not, that's who's possessing Trump right now. It's Osiris. So yeah, it's just kind of the way it goes. What's funny is that clip, JT, you shared of that New York guy, that New York dude, that was so hilarious, of him like saying like, yeah, I will not be going to Israel.
Oh yeah. Should we? Before we get to that, I want to talk about that tonight. Yeah. By the way, the New York elected a socialist, supposedly Muslim, to be their mayor. We'll get to that. This will probably have to hit the cutting room floor for YouTube. So guys, be aware this will be on Patreon, and it won't be because I'm trying to just hold stuff back. But I just couldn't help but to think, Aaron, did you ever see the old G.I. Joe cartoon, like the movie back in the day?
I don't know that I saw the movie, but I watched the cartoon like religiously as a kid. I
Yeah,
had all the
the
action
movie
figures.
was really, I thought it was good, and it was kind of like I was more of a Transformers guy than I was
Same.
a GI Joe person. But when
And Mask.
yeah, I liked Mass too. But yeah, when GI Joe the movie came out, it actually was written by the same guy who wrote Transformers the movie. And if you guys are old like we are, they're very formulaic shows, and it's more about it was more about the toys than it was about the story because the stories
Mm.
kind of end the same every week. But there was a really interesting story revolving around Serpentor. Do you remember like Serpentor was like the guy who was going to
Serpentor?
take the place of he was going to take the place of Cobra Commander because Cobra Commander was such a failure. And it was really interesting the way that they created Serpentor was through harnessing spirits from these old kings and rulers and stuff.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. But anyways, the interesting
I
part
remember
about
the character, but I don't remember all that.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was all about that. And what was interesting was that again, like when you watch the Transformers the movie, it was such a departure from the normal cartoon that came on Saturdays. Like everyone gets killed at the beginning. Optimus Prime gets killed. Oh yeah, by the spoilers. Yeah, Optimus Prime gets killed, and it's a really kind of a deep. It's a way deeper story than you ever saw anything like that. And so GI Joe the movie was also like that. And I found this out at one point that the same guy wrote it, and he didn't write any of the other cartoons. But I want to show you this clip. I found this. I have to dig this up real quick. But I got this, and I remember we were going to play this for like some B-roll on the Ancient Angels movie. We never did it. But this stuff is pretty crazy. It just made me think of it when you were talking about that they went to like Antarctica
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so there's just kind of this idea, of course, in this community that obviously they're hiding things at the North Pole, they're hiding things in Antarctica, and there's also kind of even like the German myths about kind of would it be Nepal in kind of places in the Far East in the kind of the snowy region.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll play a little bit of this. This is longer than I remembered it to
Let's
be.
see it.
Nephilim.
Anyways, hope that wasn't too boring. But yeah, a couple of points in that video is that for one, yeah, I mentioned that Serpentor was the idea of these Nephilim type creatures who had retreated back to some kind of icy place. And yeah, they were going to eventually use these kind of spores that Cobra Commander discovered, and that's what made him have to wear the mask. He got all disfigured. Eventually, Cobra Commander, they release the spores back into his face again. He turns into a complete serpent.
Does
He
Cobra
turns into a
Commander have a bunch of eyeballs over his face?
Well, yeah, he's disfigured. I mean, I guess, but eventually he
Dude.
turns into a straight up snake.
Did you see that though? When he got the ball, it was like there was eyes all over his face.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's why he wore the mask because he was hideous now.
That storyline is literally the exact same storyline in the music video All Nightmare Long from Metallica.
Oh, really?
Not even kidding you, dude. It's like an 8-minute music video. And the whole thing, like most of it's just music. There's not even any singing. And there's like this whole, I don't know if there's copyright, but you could play the video right now and watch it. And the whole first 2 minutes, 3 minutes is like, it's a movie. Like it shows you the storyline. And it's the same exact thing. These doctors engineer these spores. They spray it over the world or United States, and it literally turns these people into mindless zombies. It's the same exact story.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think in the show, so in that movie,
There's something to that.
they're looking to get this thing called the broadcast energy emitter, because when they shoot the spores up into space, they won't burst until they're hit with all its energy. I don't know the whole
Specific, dude.
It's very
so
specific. It's very specific. Like I said, if you watch the original cartoons, they were not deep at all. It's kind of like the original comic books where it's just like, what are the villain's goals in the Spider-Man comics? To rob banks. And this so Spider-Man stops them from robbing people and protecting little old ladies. That's kind of how G.I. Joe and Transformers used to be. But then these movies are such a departure from that, where the story is, for an adult level, it's interesting. The whole thing is interesting. This idea of that there's this mystery humanoid race that are actually puppeteering people, and they're doing it from some kind of icy domain.
You know what's more interesting is like you're saying like it's this that it's not interesting storylines back in the day. You know what's very fascinating is that no movies and old stories and old cartoons are interesting. In fact, they're all very generic and like so obvious who the bad guy. They're very polarizing. The TV shows are very like, well, this is a bad guy, and it really makes you wonder. It makes you wonder like what was it about humanity that we thought it was compelling to read these stupid stories where the bad guy wasn't clear who the bad guy was. Nowadays, it's like, who is he a bad guy? Is he like, and it's like so much
Dexter,
more
dude. Like
depth.
nowadays.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Well, they've definitely blurred
Yeah.
the lines. I think the original comic books, at least from what kind of let's just say the surface level is, or maybe below, just slightly below surface level, would be that little nerds read comic books. So they identify with Peter Parker. They identify with Superman when he's Clark Kent, who's getting picked on. And then he rips open his shirt. He's got the big S on his chest, and then he goes and kicks some butt. So Spider-Man, obviously, once he gets bit by the spider, then he's not worried about getting wedgies from Flash, the captain of the football team. He gets to date the cheerleader. You know, that's kind of what they show in those early comic books, and kind of makes sense. I know that there's a deeper level to that where, like, Superman is, as we don't even need to go over that today, is that he's likely some kind of iteration or avatar for Lucifer, and he's an alien with superpowers, and now he's a savior. But yeah, just that whole kind of idea of like that, is there some kind of truth to what they're showing you there? I mean, it is interesting. We were talking about that literally their emperor of Cobra was embodying many different spirits of, I think it was like Genghis Khan, it was like Napoleon, it was Julius Caesar, it was all these kinds of very prominent, ancient conquerors.
And the idea was put in his head by the psychic bug, which is a demon.
The psychic emitter, which was some kind of weird spider thing.
That was really weird. It looked like the I told you guys about that one guy, and he talks about the proboscis. He talks about the reptilians that shoot the little proboscis worm, and it looked exactly like that. And that is allegedly what they open up these people's eyes, and it crawls in and attaches itself to their eyes and takes control of them. It literally becomes the host of those people. Like that's a whole.
Wasn't that? Have you seen Prometheus?
Mm-hmm.
That's in Prometheus. Interesting movie.
In the Matrix too.
Really crappy movie, but
yeah, true.
But has some really interesting parts about it. Yeah, again, this movie revolves around black goo, and then they go in to investigate in some kind of ancient alien ship that had crashed nobody knows how long ago. And yeah, so then eventually this thing shoots like this kind of weird little snake thing shoots something into this guy's face. And there's the one scene where he's like looking into the mirror, and then there's like a little black worm in his eye. And eventually he impregnates his girlfriend, and then she gives birth to an alien. Oh, spoilers.
But I think like that whole one aspect we're not talking about is they're revealing their methodology in what you just explained. Like looking back, it was a lot more obvious back then, but it's the same process that they use now. They show you a bunch of cartoons, right? They show you a bunch of episodes, they make toys, they get everyone loving it, they get everyone all into it, and then boom, of course they're going to go see the movie. But the movie's got a completely different agenda. And so the movie, yeah, that feels like some sort of disclosure, something that, because it was, like you said, it was produced
is the
by
psychic bug.
Basically, yeah.
Psychic motivators.
Basically, yeah. But there was a game plan though. They're like, we need people to see this. We need to disclose this. We need people to see this. We need to share this. It wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like it's time to make a movie. Let's take because they would have taken the current storylines. They would have taken everything that they talked about in all of the previous episodes, all of that stuff. They would have used the same producers or the same people involved. But it's like, we see that nowadays. It's the Trojan horse, really, is what it is. They've done the same thing. They did it with Britney Spears. They've done it with like everybody. They introduce you Taylor Swift. They introduce them innocent. They introduce them one way. They get everyone to fall in love with them until it's time for the Trojan horse to enter, and then that's when the agenda really starts to take place. But it's
That's
like if you think
how the spell works.
that's right, and so
You
you
build
see
them
that
up
that's,
innocently, and then you drop them.
and that's what they're doing in every single scenario.
Yeah,
That's where they
Everywhere
definitely.
that
Well, I
they
mean,
go.
that's the thing. It's like
And
the
it's always the youth. It's always the youth.
right. And what is interesting, as I mentioned, like nobody ever died in the cartoons. Nobody ever died. Even the bad guys, they would shoot down their jets, and everyone would parachute out. Nobody would ever die. Nobody would ever die. But interestingly, I don't know that anybody died in that one, but I know that Joe from GI Joe, he gets or is it Duke? No, I think it's Joe. Is his name Joe or is it Duke? The blonde-headed
I
guy.
honestly don't remember.
He gets Serpentor hits him with his snake and it goes right to his heart and he's like in a coma like the whole episode, the whole movie. And then in Transformers, lots of the old heroes die at the beginning of it. So it's almost like it's a traumatic thing for kids. It's traumatic to see Optimus Prime die. It's like you would never expect
Oh, for
him to
sure.
die of all the people, all the characters, which was a horrible marketing thing because he was like the most popular character in the new
Bambi
guy
did
they
it
introduced.
best.
Rodimus Prime was no Optimus Prime. But yeah, maybe that is kind of the way to never really let you forget, because for a young boy, that's pretty traumatic to see your favorite toy die.
Dude, Bambi was one of the first movies I ever saw in theaters.
But we all
didn't
talked
even,
about that. Yeah, yeah. All the
we didn't
all
even
the
go
Disney
see it
movies.
because we didn't even go see it because I wanted to go see it. My mom wanted to go see it, but like I remember, like how many ever minutes in. But yeah, that's the thing. Like you can see the blueprint all over everything. Like looking back, it makes sense looking back, right? But the thing is like the old blueprint is still the current blueprint.
For sure.
The difference is just that like the line has been blurred. And so what I mean by that is now they've got like IRL streamers, right? You've got like all these streamers out there that are big nowadays, and some of them stream video games, but a lot of them they do IRL streaming. So they just stream themselves in real life situations. And it doesn't seem like it's real life, but like they're using that for the younger generation. That's the catalyst for a lot of these things as well.
Yeah, it's
And
probably more like video games because cartoons really are not as popular as they used to be for us. But like
Video
the
games
video
and
games, like
streamers.
the cinematic stuff in the video games is very realistic now.
Completely. Yeah, video games and streamers. We talked about it not too long ago, like this streamer Neon, like he was fairly innocent. I mean, he got into some trouble and stuff like that, but like he kind of fell off and then he came back with bleached hair and now he's like doing stuff with all these people and he's like going on all these dates with famous people like every episode. And it's always the Trojan horse scenario. They start off one way, they get the viewership high, they get people into these people, and then they start bringing in these other agendas. But yeah,
You know,
it's the
I
same-
wonder if they start off innocent and it's really just the Lord that's blessing them, and then Satan steps in and says, "And now that you're big enough, we'll bring you down."
I can say that is absolutely the case, at least for some of them. Not even a question.
Well,
because
G.I. Joe likely probably at the very beginning was just propaganda for probably the military, because I think that's what originally the toy was about.
sure, yeah,
Was just like there were these, they weren't the little toys. They were like this, it was like a doll for boys.
yeah,
And it was making
An
being
idol.
a soldier cool. And then
Yeah.
eventually, then they're like, it can't just be this. Now it needs to be
Yeah, it was like we need to brainwash
Nephilim
them
from
more.
the Himalayas or from Antarctica. All right, let's switch gears. What's interesting, this might piggyback on that topic, was that how movies can influence the culture in not good ways. This is pretty interesting. Check this out.
There is something very weird about this scene in the James Bond film Spectre. The opening of that film takes place in Mexico City, as you can see by the color grading, where they are holding their traditional Day of the Dead parade. Now, when I say there's something weird about it, I am not going to complain that they portrayed the parade or the culture incorrectly. If you look up photos from this year's parade, I mean, if anything, they scaled it down. So what's the problem, you ask, if you're not here to complain that they didn't respect the tradition of the parade? The issue is that there was no tradition of a Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. This film started that tradition. And the story behind this is actually very interesting. See, the government of Mexico lobbied very hard to get them to shoot the film in that city, because obviously they thought it would be good for tourism. But after they shot the movie in 2015, they thought, hold on, these tourists are all going to show up expecting this parade. So in October of 2016, for the very first time, they put one on. And it's now the yearly tradition. 1.5 million people attended the parade this year. And there has been some pushback, people saying that this is not how traditions should start, that Hollywood screenwriters should not be inventing new celebrations for your culture. But for my viewers in the United States, I'll tell you right now, many of our holiday traditions are exactly this corporate in origin. A lot of the modern design of Santa Claus as we know him today was born from Coca-Cola ads.
That's hilarious.
That's pretty crazy, right? Like they
007 started
a James
the Day of the
Bond
Dead in
movie
Mexico City.
created this demonic holiday.
Well, hold on a second though. Is that entirely true, or
Well,
is
Day
it
of the
just
Dead existed in multiple cities, just
Well,
not
I
in
guess
Exactly,
I
just
guess
not
what
in
they're saying
Mexico
is the
City.
Day of the Dead was a thing, but this whole parade thing was never a thing until.
just not in Mexico City?
just
I
not in
think is what
Mexico
they're
City.
saying.
They have it.
But
in
did they have
other
a
cities.
parade somewhere else?
Yeah, probably. I've
There's
seen
like
other ones.
days long. Yeah, it's like it lasts more than a day in a lot of these cities. It's a big deal to them.
Well, why wasn't it a big deal in Mexico City until they decided to
Because it
do it
wasn't in
after
their
James
culture.
Bond?
That's a great question, man. We're gonna have to get someone with some Mexican roots on here to talk about it.
What was that one movie? Was it it wasn't the Milo one, was it? There was a Disney one where it was a Disney Pixar, and it was about the Day of the Dead. Do you remember what that one was called,
Yeah,
Brian?
Coco. It's called Coco.
That's right.
Yeah, and
it
it's
was
called
really
Coco
interesting
because Coco is named after the demon Kukui, which is El Kukui, or Coco, which is also where we get the name cocaine, comes from the same demon. It's a big, hairy Coco demon, which is brown and hairy, looks like a coconut. So if you type in Coco demon in Wikipedia, you'll see that it's referring to a demon. That's Coco is a demon.
We need to practice when
That's
you go
where-
off on riffs like that. Like I'm gonna have to like come up with like a beat, and you're gonna have to do it like in with a cadence.
That's where Coca-Cola comes from, by the way. Side note, Coca-Cola doesn't come from cocaine. It comes from the Kukui, the El Kukui's name of cocaine. So that's what that stems from.
I just really remember that movie because it had a beast that resembled
The
the
dog.
beasts from Daniel chapter 7
Oh yeah.
when it's talking about like the lion with the eagle's wings and things like that, kind of like the beast you see in that John gets in the book of Revelation. This thing right here, I think it's called is it Pepita? Coco Pepita? So looks like it's got a dragon tail. It's got horns like a ram or a goat. It's got eagle's wings. It resembles like a panther, I think.
Yep.
And it might even
Leopard.
have. I mean, looks like the paws might be
Bare
even different
feet.
too. Like, are those bare
feet.
feet?
It's like 5 different shoe brands all in one.
And that actually it takes me back to that crazy statue they had at the UN. That was one of
Yep,
that was
I
like one of
remember
my
that.
very first TikTok videos about that. What was that one called? I have to look that up. But yeah,
They
that
literally look exactly like that. Same
The
colors and everything.
leopard. Something leopard.
yeah. I mean, I can go back and find that. Let me find that picture. I know I got that picture. That would have been. This is old school JT content here. This would have been like is it November.
Back when you were just JT follows JT.
How is this?
I'm
I
just
might not
kidding.
even have that name back then. Well, yeah, I did.
That's what I'm saying. You were JT follows JT back then.
It was just JT. Nobody followed me.
You were following yourself.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah. It's exactly that same beast.
That's wild, right? Did they put that thing out in front of the UN?
That's insane. I mean, the only difference is it doesn't have the like the bird legs.
It doesn't look like it has the horns.
Yeah, I don't see the ram horns either.
The horns,
Everything
but-
else is the same.
That is definitely evil.
Well, it's not a mythical creature from anything else. So, like,
Yeah, no, there's no other reference
There's
points
no-
for that for sure.
I don't know of any winged leopard beast other than the one from the Bible. So,
Right. And so I want to say that those are obviously combination. I believe that what it is you have different principalities are kind of combining forces. So you're having different nations combining to create an empire. And so that's why you'd have like a certain animal that is a chimera with a different animal, because each animal represents a different nation. Like the leopard represented Greece, I believe. And that's why Rome was the terrifying beast that did not quite look different than the other ones. Probably because it was so many different nations that came together to be Rome. Talk about that. Let's talk about last night. We referenced that. So yes, New York City elected a socialist, maybe Muslim, supposedly Muslim, to be their mayor. And people ask why? Like, why of all the people how would they have ever elected somebody like that? If you're confused as to why New York City elected a socialist mayor, please check out this clip. It'll make more sense.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani?
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
Notice.
As a state with equal rights.
He won't
Not
say it has a
state.
right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on
answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike you, I answer questions very directly.
All right.
My goal would be to take my first trip to Israel. My wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family, and it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah, if you'd like to have his bar mitzvah.
Okay, but
Understand now?
it could coincide with my young son Miles' bar mitzvah. Like,
What in the world?
Silly.
I think, Brian, you might have said it. I know somebody else said it in the comments after I made that video this looks like an SNL skit. It's like
Dude,
so
for real.
on the nose that it seems like,
It's so cringy.
is that
obvious.
AI? Is that real? Is it really
Oh my
real that everybody except for the socialist Muslim says they're going to go to Israel after they're elected? And then
Bro,
he is
I'm going to
berated.
Disneyland.
But not only
Why
that,
is it not
he's
their
like
spots?
berated for saying that he gives the only really intelligent answer
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
trying to run for mayor of a city, not for president or any kind of foreign affairs position. You say, you know what? My first priority, the voters of New York City, because I'm work for them and I care about their needs. And all these other people are like,
Take a trip.
do you support a Jewish state in Israel?
Dude,
What in the
that,
world?
That question was as relevant as asking what kind of bath bomb you're going to use for your first bath after you get elected.
Yes.
Like, it's not relevant to the current role in any way, shape, or form. It's only asked for one reason and one reason alone. And so my theory on this is, because I was so
Who
confused
wrote
when I
those
saw
questions, bro?
Dude, I mean,
They were
you
like,
can only
they
guess.
gasped. He's going to
I
stay in
know.
New York?
Well, no, dude, he was getting straight up high school bullied for that one, man.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you know what it
The
reminded me
only
of? Do you guys ever remember that Seinfeld when Kramer he wanted to walk in some kind of AIDS march or something like that,
dude. Yeah.
and he wouldn't wear the ribbon.
He
And
wouldn't
he's like,
wear
no, I'm
the
not going to wear the
ribbon.
ribbon. I'm just going to march. And you're like,
You
he
gotta wear
does
the
not
ribbon.
want to wear the ribbon. That is exactly what it sounded like. What do you mean you're not going to wear the? What do you mean you're not going to go to Israel?
1,000,000%.
Wait, Aaron, what were you saying, Aaron?
So I'm saying, if we know who has the control over the media, unfortunately. We know how it all works. We know all of that stuff. That somehow they're still able to fool us every now and then, and us have a little glimmer of hope, like, hey, maybe one slipped through. Nobody slipped through. it's all intentional. So they have to have someone that represents all of the people out there that are starting to wake up. They have to have someone that can represent. I personally think he's some sort of honeypot to get people talking against Israel, so that way there's
Maybe.
a talking point and a valid source of a talking point now, and it's going to flush out all of the people across the United States that are going to be saying similar things to what you just said, Brian. Like, I'm not even Muslim. I'm not even all that stuff, but I like the guy because blah, blah, blah. Like, dude,
well, again, he's like,
well, that's what
it's
they
not
did
that
with
you
Trump.
like him. It's just that everybody else is so bad. And you like, I guess he might be.
It's going to force the narrative.
Put it this way: he's bad. He's definitely bad.
He's probably terrible. Yeah.
But seeing people
I'd
that
still
are
vote
just
for
so
him, though.
fake. I mean, he's fake, but he's better at being fake than the rest of them. Which you can just tell. It reminds me of WWE or WWF back in the day, where there used to be the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, who, by the way, spoke at Liberty one time, and he was awesome. But of course, he was rich, and he was always throwing around the money. And there was one time there was a match where I think Hulk Hogan got pinned, and it was like more like a 2 count, but the ref counted 3 anyways. And then the ref's leaving, and he's got $100 bills sticking out the back of his pants, like in his back pocket. That's what it looks like. That where it's like these people so obviously are on the take, and they're so obviously bought that it's just like you can't even imagine that they could be so obvious, but that they are.
But they need someone to represent the people out there that are not happy with Israel. So that way there can be a popular narrative for the people that want to discuss being anti-Israel.
Well,
like they need that.
Apparently Bernie Sanders said something to him to not be so anti-Israel, and the guy like had like a change of heart apparently, and like started being less intense as he was, which now I'm like, loser.
He's less anti now.
Well,
yeah, I'm already like,
see, I think here's the
sold
thing
out already.
We talked about it a little bit a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how that there was one famous rabbi who called Islam the broom of Israel. And so what that whole statement was about was the fact that radical Islam was actually good for Israel, even though it's bad for Israel. It's because what it does, it justifies all their greatest fears, and it allows them to fundraise and to gain support based on the fact that, oh, this guy really hates us, so therefore all the things we've been saying about potential persecution coming in the future is real. So whether they get somebody who is rah-rah like Cuomo, or the guy who's going to have his son's bar mitzvah there, or the guy who's been there 4 times, you get this guy and you say, oh, well, we're going to use, it's kind of like, again, it's like the Hegelian dialectic. So you're playing both sides of the fence, and you're trying to get people kind of in this solution that's somewhere in the middle. And that's what this is about. But you know what? I want to, before you say anything, Brian, somebody on my Facebook page that I created was the JT's Conspiracy Network. Is that what I called it? Yeah, JT's Christian Conspiracy Network. I want to give them a shout out because this was a good catch, and I don't know if anybody's seen this. So supposedly this guy is a socialist, which I believe that, but they claim that he's a Muslim. But he's got some interesting, maybe not jewelry, but just check this out. Look over here on his wrist. So I'm going to give a shout out to Carrie Michelle. And it says, look, so you got this red bracelet over here. You see right there. I guess it's kind of small, but. Kabbalah, bro.
Oh.
What do you think?
Is that what that is?
That's a red string.
Is it?
What else could it be? Aaron, is that a red string?
Glitch in the
It
video?
looks like it to me. I would need to see a higher resolution.
Yeah, because you see the light looks red there. See, it's a red light, so it could be a black string.
Yeah, I don't.
It's just,
but like, why are you wearing a string around your wrist?
Be an optical
very
illusion.
Very sus for sure. But
there's most of the light around him's blue though. See,
it looks like he has tattoos on his fingers though. Like what is that?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there's
that could be a shadow, but I think
it could be some kind of glitch.
I think that that's red.
It looks like a potential glitch.
Well, the interesting thing is that when you get,
JT's like, screw you guys, it's red.
it's red. It's a red, dude. It's Kabbalah. Well, what's interesting is the fact that I think this is where you get into, like, again, like the Hegelian dialectic, where you have the supposed warring factions like radical Islam and Judaism, or radical Islam and Christianity. What you really have is,
or witchcraft.
You have theater. You have theater to scare the people who are reasonable, who are just likely to be afraid. Because if you go way back to the secret society stuff, you go back into the Assassins, kind of where the Assassin's Creed game comes from, and then you have the Knights Templar. And so what the Knights Templar were doing for people way back in the day, supposedly, is they were protecting Christians in the Holy Land. And they weren't doing it for free. It's kind of like the mob. It's like the fact that, hey, it would be a shame if somebody busted out this window here. You want to pay for protection? So what they did was they were in league with the Assassins, who were the dangerous Muslim faction that they were scared of. But both of those groups have a kind of face for what their religion is, right? Like, because we know that the Templars were not Catholics and the Assassins were not Muslims. They were both Kabbalists.
They're both Jews.
Well, I mean, they had that. Well, I mean, the point is, they have that, whether they were ethnically X, Y, or Z, it doesn't matter. That's the thing with these secret societies, is the fact that yes, you have a local masonry temple in your town, and all of the guys are Baptists there. But then there's one in Salt Lake City, and guess what? They're Mormons, right? So the face of the religion is the face of the town. So the point is, it's to invite people in. But we know that whether they pass out King James Bibles that are stamped with the Freemason compass and square on it, the Bible's okay. I mean, it's still the Bible. But the point is that they want it to be innocuous. They don't want it to look like it's evil, because they're not going to straight up tell you that they're worshiping the devil. But they are, right? They're doing it like they got this completely inverted hermeneutic. So the point is that if this guy is public face is Islam, it's kind of like the same thing where every U.S. president has claimed to be a Christian, even though Donald Trump, who claimed just a couple weeks ago that he doesn't think he's going to heaven. That's kind of a weird Christian thing to say.
Definitely a weird thing to say.
But the point being is that if this guy's claiming to be a Muslim, well, is that really any different than an American president claiming to be a Christian?
Yeah, who knows?
Right? Is like that, because even the people who, wear the little hats and they claim to be, keeping the Torah and all that stuff, we know if they rock the red bracelet, that here's a surface level for the public to see, this is what my religion is. But the initiated know there's an esoteric level of mystery school knowledge, and you have to be initiated.
I don't know, but you know what it makes me want to do is run for office and say that I support Israel. And then once I get in, or once I get there, be like, yeah, just kidding. Thanks for your money, Jews. But guess what? I do not support this bull crap. That's what it makes me want to do. Get on the debate floor.
And then they're going to say, hey, you want to tour college campuses?
Yeah, right.
We got a big one lined up for you in Utah. Brian's just after that skiff access. Dude.
I know, Brian is like, this is the second week in a row that Brian's promoted the idea that when he gets into office, he's going to clean up this town.
Oh, I'm totally doing it.
Hegelian dialect.
Bro.
Brian's going to say that he's pro-Israel. He's going to say, and the first thing I do when I get elected, I'm going to take the whole family to Israel. I'm going to visit the Holy Land.
Israel. I'll just say that.
I'm going to go kiss the wall, and then he's going
to
say,
here's the thing.
And then when his opponent runs the montage of all the things that Brian said on the internet about Israel, it's going to be interesting for you to see, to try to walk that back.
And then the reality is they catch him at Disneyland with everyone from Burbank.
No, I'm not going to wait. Look, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to do it like this, guys. I'm going to visit my Holy Land, and then they're going to assume that I'm talking about Israel, and then I'm going to be like, the New Jerusalem needs to come into power, and they're going to think I'm talking about that Jerusalem. And they're going to be, and then once I get elected, I'm be like, oh yeah, guys, you thought I was talking about the nation? No, fool. That's stupid.
Love that, man.
This makes a nice segue into a prominent political figure pretending to be a Christian. And everybody thinks that he was. He's no longer with us, but have you guys ever heard that MLK was actually really not the best pastor?
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that.
Okay, well, check this out. If you guys don't know, now you will.
It was just a big disappointment to find out the things that we ended up finding out about him in terms of the fact that he wasn't a real Christian. He didn't believe in the deity of Christ. He didn't believe in the virgin birth. He didn't believe that Jesus rose from the dead. He didn't believe in the literal existence of heaven and hell. Didn't believe that Jesus is going to come again. He basically didn't believe in the basic fundamental tenets of the Christian faith.
And you found this out through his own words, correct?
Through his own words, right. If you read those papers, you'll find that, by his own admission, he rejected the deity of Christ as early as the age 12. He said that he shocked his Sunday school class by rejecting the virgin birth and the resurrection. And he never recanted from that. He never backtracked on that or anything. I listened to every second of every minute of every hour of every Martin Luther King sermon that's in existence, and never once does he actually preach the gospel and call people to repentance. In fact, he didn't even want to become a pastor. He said he wanted to become a lawyer or a doctor or something like that, but he was talked into becoming a pastor by his family. So he was convinced to go into the ministry and to go to Crozer Theological Seminary, which by the time King went there already had a lot of Marxist professors, and King was able to take that teaching in, make it his own, and it would be the launching pad of his career.
Bro, we need to talk to that guy. I want to talk to that guy.
That is wild, though. I mean, I've heard all this stuff where they said what the FBI and like the CIA had him under surveillance, and he had prostitutes and he was smacking them around and all that kind of stuff. And I guess to me, that's less surprising because we know that prominent pastors today have sex scandals. What was the guy from just recently from Texas? I forgot that guy's name. You know what I'm talking about? Like a really prominent pastor. And he got, I think he went to jail for, I don't know. He was doing stuff with a young girl. And I think it was old.
Wasn't Joel Osteen, was it?
No, it's not Joel Osteen. It was it was somebody who had like a mega church though. I forget the guy's name, and I'm sure people in the comments let us know who it was. But the point is, that kind of stuff happens. Obviously, you have like the Jimmy Swaggart scandals from years ago, and this kind of stuff happens. But the fact that this guy was supposedly a pastor, did not believe that Jesus was born a virgin, did not believe that he rose from the dead, did not believe in heaven and hell.
It's wild.
Like,
it's absolutely wild.
That is shocking to think that he was preaching in any church.
He didn't believe Jesus was coming back
at least
again.
by even giving lip service to saying you believe those. You know, whether you believe them or not. You would think that a guy like that wouldn't mind lying about it, but I mean, yeah, to openly having those beliefs. And then people still going to a church.
I mean, he's like the zesty Tupac predecessor. You know what I mean? Like they make these people for the public. That's all it is.
It's wild though, man.
They made him for sure.
That is wild. I remember, because again, if during the time in the 60s when all the stuff was going on with the race relations being horrible in the country and stuff, and some of the speeches that he had were, if you hear clips of them, they were inspiring and they did sound good, right? But the whole character of him was just basically a lie. It was all a lie. In this community, they're saying, of course it was all a lie. Some of this stuff, again, I haven't looked back at everything. I've been doing a lot of research, but I mean, I don't know, that level of just insincerity is really even shocking to me. Again, because it would make more sense to me that he would believe nothing of the things he says, much like, again, American presidents claiming to be Christians, but not actually being Christian. That makes more sense than to openly espouse like totally heretical beliefs in the church and then being called pastor.
I mean, that's like some straight up warlock stuff, really. Honestly, you see it in modern day churches too. Brian, I'm sure, knows a lot more about that. But, you know, most of the witches and warlocks, they are completely 180 degrees opposed to everything they teach. I mean, these people are teaching the gospel. These people are casting out demons. These people are on worship teams. These people are giving prophecies, and they literally hate Christians. And they're there to just wreak havoc. So I don't know. I don't know that I would say it was that bad for him, but it's a similar principle, and it also makes you just, we don't even know. We literally don't even know. We have no basis of knowing what the actual truth is with him. We don't know how bad it was.
I was gonna say we can ask AI a question though. Yes, Martin Luther King was supported by Jewish individuals and organizations, which provided financial assistance, legal aid, and activism to the civil rights movement. Prominent Jewish organizations like the American Jewish Congress and the Anti-Defamation League were involved, and individual Jewish leaders and citizens such as Rabbi Jacob Rothschild were steadfast and supporters and friends of Dr. King. Isn't that fascinating, AI?
That's shocking. That's shocking that they would be supporting a guy who denied the divinity of Christ.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh my God.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah, it's just like it's just a mess. But it makes sense too. Again, like how he's a martyr, right? And then you have all these edifices to him in all your
sacrifice.
towns. You have a street for him in almost every city. Of course, in Norfolk,
He's a
Virginia.
Charlie Kirk.
In Norfolk, Virginia, they have a black. It's a black. I'm friggin' blanking out over here. It's a
sounding pretty racist so far.
I know. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to say
it. Sound real racist right now, bro.
Oh no. I'll start that over again. So in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay, come on, let's cool it for a second. So in Norfolk, Virginia, they have a black obelisk to MLK. I'm not making that up.
Do it again. You have to do it again. I just picture "To Thy Heart" saying it sounded real high. Knowing what an obelisk is a penis. I mean, it just makes it even funnier.
I know. I couldn't.
Okay.
Let me see. MLK.
Just say an obelisk, okay? Don't have the word black in there, please.
But it is a black obelisk.
Okay.
We don't need to specify the color. There's a lot of different colored obelisks. All right?
I haven't seen a black one before. You guys stop. You guys can't take you guys anywhere. Okay, so check this out. Yeah, check this out. So this is in Norfolk, Virginia right here. Isn't that weird?
That's definitely.
You wouldn't describe that as a black obelisk?
It's big.
I mean...
it makes more sense now that this guy who was... because I wondered, it's like, if this guy was a Christian guy, why would you represent him with this obelisk? But now knowing that he's not a Christian, never was one, now that kind of makes a little more sense.
It's metal looking, just dark metal.
Yeah,
it's totally black. It's black as midnight, Brian. I've drove by it many times.
Interesting design too. It's not as
No, it's got some different details.
Yeah.
I can't. Brian, see, this is why you'll never get elected to public office. Because you're totally racist.
Watch me.
All right. I got another video, and this video is fire. This might be the new Old World soundtrack. If you guys have heard this thing, this is lit.
The buildings back then were advanced. The buildings today are trash. They was made out of limestone and copper. Today it's just concrete and glass. These buildings had crystals and energy. These keeping your energy trapped. They charging an arm and a leg for these boxes. They must be think we just some rats in a lab. These buildings had sacred geometry. Sound vibrations was healing our body. These buildings don't hold any energy. Literally dead. We living in coffins. Bitch. These buildings had domes and finials. Pulling cosmic electricity straight from the air. These buildings got flat ass tops with no creativity. Damn, they do not even care. Like damn, what? These buildings was it for real. These buildings is shit for real. Step in these and you will get healed. Step in these and you will be killed. These niggas don't care how we feel. That's why I gotta go outside now and ground. Shit is to someone so they know the deal. I'm putting you down. I'm putting you on. I'm putting you down. I'm putting you on. I'm putting you down. I'm putting you on. I'm putting you down. I'm putting you on.
The irony is that he recorded that in 440 hertz.
I was over here. I was like Michael Scott, man. Raising the roof.
Yeah, that's hilarious though.
Go.
That first random B word he added for absolutely no reason, dude. Crazy.
Brian.
I love that though. I love that people are talking about it like that. You know what I mean? I love it's made its way into some hip hop. I love that.
Brian, was that fire or what?
Oh, it's epic, man, epic.
Gonna roll
someone who doesn't listen to
on
music.
My 24s as I roll through some of these old world cities.
I did. Wait, did you send that one to me already, or did I send it to you?
I don't know. I mean, we probably all sent it to each other because as soon as we saw that, we knew.
Now we need some emo and some screamo music that has similar lyrics.
Give us your best impersonation of an emo one.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Go.
I like when we use the emo voice.
But we gotta start Tartarian Core.
Yeah,
Tartarian Core has gotta. It's gotta be the new musical.
What's the emo voice sound like again? I forget.
It depends on which one you're going for.
I'm not even gonna try.
Where are you?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. These old buildings. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
And then
sorry for that. But no, I would say that's what's great about the old world community is that it is definitely multicultural. Is that it doesn't matter. We don't care about what color. We don't care what any kind of thing about where you're from. Everybody knows it. They all feel it in their bones that we've been lied to about this stuff. And when they see those kind of buildings, and they see the modern buildings, yeah, I did like that. It's like these places will heal you, and these ones will kill you. It's like, yeah, I mean, I feel that. I feel that for real. For real.
For real.
You're starting to
tap into his inner rap voice.
Yeah, he's starting to transform before our eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not street. I can't even fake it.
Put your do-rag on. Come on, we'll wait.
For real, bruh.
You know, I want to switch gears though. Well, I want to maybe stay on kind of the Satan's Little Season theme. I saw a really interesting video, and this relates to some things that Aaron and I saw when we were in Phoenix, Arizona, at the state capitol building. So remember we talked about petrified wood, Aaron?
I think that's what makes a video more digestible than just having a conversation. Sometimes you get really excited when you're having a conversation, and maybe you get to the point too quickly. And what is the point? How did these trees become like rainbow-esque precious stones? Why does something petrify, really, and not decompose? And this is what I believe has happened out here. Absolute heat has cooked this area, and all areas, at one point, turning everything into structures that are completely unrecognizable as previously being structures. And these trees are almost unrecognizable if their bark wasn't intact or if they were simply buried. And so we're to believe that trees grew here millions of years ago and nothing has taken root other than these worthless shrubs for another million years? No. I don't buy that. This is a very strong evidence that is overlooked and dismissed, again with a million-year theory. Billions, maybe. Who knows what they might tell us. And kind of a nothing to see here, just kind of interesting, and move on. And this doesn't make any sense unless we had varying.
That was John Levi. So somebody posted one of his clips on TikTok. But yeah, check this out. Aaron and I did see some very similar things so here's the Arizona State Capitol building, and if you guys see right over here where my cursor is, there's another one right here.
Right there.
And what's really interesting about both these tree trunks they're right on like a base and capitol. Like, isn't that weird?
And we couldn't figure it out because there's no plaque There's nothing explaining them, and the base that they're on looks like part of the original structure, like whenever that building was actually built. It looks just as old as the rest of the structure. And so it's like, was that set on top of that later? Was there something else on there?
Probably
Were there
gods.
I mean, maybe were there trees growing out of that? And that I don't know. There's just so many questions.
See,
There was nothing written about them.
See, the thing is too, when you see this, again, like all the other kind of old world stuff, you go check out.
They're ritual sacrifice pillars. Probably. They
the
probably
trees
killed
were
someone on there.
sacrificed.
Yeah, no, they probably killed someone on them.
Fine. No, but when
That's
you go,
what they do, bro.
When you go out here, like you guys are not. This is not doing it justice. How big that was. I mean, how wide in diameter do you think these things are, Aaron? I want to say that they were probably 4 to 5 feet around.
Yeah, no, they're very wide, and I'm 6'3", and the top of that was like at my chin.
Yeah, they're big. These are actually really big. And I couldn't help but just think the way it's got the base on there. Like, what if that thing did reach up? What if there was some kind of a portico? There was some kind of canopy over here that some of this stuff had to be fixed.
Yeah, it feels like they've been in that base for a long time. Like it doesn't. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean,
really
why is
strange.
there a base for those things anyways? You build a building like that, and then you build a base for a column, and then you go to the petrified forest or something, and then you go just grab some random piece of petrified wood to stack it there.
Right. I mean,
Ritual,
Brian may not be
sacrificial
may not
pillars.
be wrong, but there is definitely a very specific reason as to why those are there.
Ritual pillars, I'm telling you guys.
So you think that they killed someone on a tree and then petrified the tree?
No.
Or
They used the tree as like a sacrificial thing.
petrified
They
tree,
used the
they laid
petrified
them on
tree.
there and
Yeah.
disemboweled them or something?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the kind of stuff they do.
interesting theory. But let's just
To
talk
trap
about
their
the wood,
energy.
though. Let's talk about like wood. Like I think he's right. It's like, and Aaron and I discussed that when we were there. What the heck could do that to wood? To make it look like rainbow crystal. I'm sorry, that doesn't seem like something that could happen over a long period of time. That looks like that would happen a very specific process where
But like you think if it was a quick combustion of heat, you would think that like wood would just pop.
it would vaporize it.
Right. So like what is the process?
Is
That'd
it a
be very
situation
slow.
where like like when you cook a steak, right? And you sear the outside of it?
Oh, right.
So is it a situation where the outside was
Yeah,
was
that looks seared,
cooked?
doesn't it, on the outside?
Yeah, and it looks like the inside of like
Medium rare on the inside.
yeah, right. You cook that steak. I think it's. I mean, I think again, yeah, that we don't believe millions and billions of years of anything, but that whole process where wood turns into that,
It's definitely a tree.
I think it's a big clue to, again, a cataclysmic event that took place, or maybe all around the earth, very specific places. It seemed way more intense, and that's why, again, we talked about Phoenix. What the imagery of the Phoenix is, the mythology is that it's this willing sacrifice that eventually rises from the ashes. It's no coincidence they named this town Phoenix, Arizona.
Look at that log you got on there, right there. No, don't move. So if you notice that the rings are going all the way around, but on the bottom left-hand corner, it's like the rings get cut off, and then that edge is flat. So it had to sit there for a very long time on that flat edge, because that's not the normal formation of the tree, because you can see the rings get like cut, they get cleft on that bottom left edge.
Mhm.
So it looks like the tree fell over or something collapsed it, and it sat long enough that the bottom half of that tree like got flat, just sitting there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the only way that could happen is if it was underwater, and then it reformed. See, it's got like a flat edge. It was underwater, and then it was under immense heat. And it probably had like algae or some other kind of thing got into it that made it rainbowy.
I wish we had real scientists that were serious about what
That's
actually
cool
happened.
looking.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you're right. I mean, part of me can't really wrap my mind around a fervent heat event that melted buildings that they're unrecognizable now, but also turned trees to crystal stone.
It's got to be like they got to have been underwater and some kind of like bacteria or something else in there got in there. Oh, dude, that's definitely a tree.
I mean, but you know how crazy it is just to think about
that
this
could
whole
be a bone.
This whole
That could be a
process
bone.
of what's happening. Oh yeah, what if it was a big bone?
It could be a femur for sure.
It does kind of resemble one. But just the idea that you're in some kind of barren landscape, and then you have trees that have turned to stone, and they're all strewn about.
That's what's weird about the petrified forest in Arizona is like it's just flat desert for the most part, and there's just a bunch of those laying around. Like there are no trees still, none.
Right. What he said was accurate too. Was he was saying that so what we're told is these things were hundreds of millions of years old or something, but there's no real evidence of a forest there except for these trees that are been knocked over, and now the only thing that grows there is tumbleweed and little tiny shrubs. So
They
what
could have been
happened
carried
to
there.
this place? So
They
you
could have
still
been
have to
carried
answer
there
the
by
question,
water.
like what happened to this place?
Yeah,
Carried
True.
there by water, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of places in Arizona where like you're driving and you get to some of these
Look at
like
that.
Ooh, that's
really
cool.
high elevation places, and you can see the water erosion lines up on the top of these mountains at like 6,500, 7,500 feet elevation.
That one
You
looks
can
burned.
still see it. Yeah, it sure does.
That one looks like burned and then
It's even
petrified.
got char marks.
Yeah.
These things
It
are
also
so
looks
cool.
like bone marrow.
It's so freaking cool. I mean, what's the kind of process that forms like those geodes?
There's a lot. It's like heat.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pretend to understand all of that stuff, man. I'm going to sound like an
Yeah.
absolute idiot talking about it. I have no idea.
I forget.
I don't know. I can't help but think that it's somehow related that you have these rock balls. And when you crack them open, they're full of crystals.
Yeah.
It's just
Like,
weird. Like, so
yeah.
how did the crystals form on the inside? And a lot of times, aren't they pretty hollow?
Yeah, they are. And the bigger they are, the more hollow space and the more crystals are
So that's
on
weird
the
to me
inside.
because from what we're told, right, how a diamond forms is
They say millions of years on geodes.
is intense. Of course, it took a million years, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was. But you have intense pressure to form diamonds, right? But then on the inside of these rocks, there's not intense pressure because they're hollow in the in the middle of them.
Well, they're not. I don't think they're not diamonds.
They're not diamonds, but I mean, still, I would think that the crystal process would have to be somewhat similar. Or am I? Again, I'm
Yeah,
not
maybe.
So
not a
mineral-rich
geologist.
water seepage.
It's water,
Over time, groundwater or hydrothermal fluids rich in minerals seep into the cavity within the rock. These waters carry dissolved minerals such as quartz, calcite, amethyst.
You can
Aga-
make a
ag-
geode. I think there's like a science experiment.
Right,
you
but
can make.
okay, so again, I don't claim to be a geologist. I'm not an expert. I might not even ever pass a geology class. I don't know if I ever even had one. Okay, so you have a rock. You have a boulder. So the water gets inside the rock somehow.
No, that's not how I think they're formed. No, they it's like water is like in a crack or a space, and then the water builds up around the edges of it.
Okay,
and
this
then
is literally the
yeah.
whole process. A geode begins as a hollow space inside of a rock. This cavity can form in a few ways: gas bubbles in volcanic rock, cavities in sedimentary rock. So like limestone or dolomite form when organic material, shells, or minerals dissolve and leave behind empty pockets. And then it says over time, groundwater or hydrothermal fluids rich in minerals seep into the cavity. So yeah, water does get into it somehow. And the water carries minerals like quartz, calcite, amethyst. And then it says as the mineral-rich water slowly evaporates or cools, the dissolved minerals begin to crystallize along the inside walls of the cavity. happens very slowly, sometimes taking millions of years. The first layer is usually a smooth chalcedony. Over time, crystals grow inward, forming beautiful structures. And then it says once all the water has evaporated or mineral deposition stops, the geode becomes a solid and durable. On the outside, it looks like a rough, unremarkable rock, but when broken open, it reveals a stunning crystalline interior.
I don't believe any of that stuff. There's something about these things. Look at that.
Hey, look at that one. I'm telling you, I found one
That was
like
just
maybe
water
half that
dripping in there?
size.
What?
Water dripping in there
Where?
did that?
I found one like half that size, like just on the outskirts of Sedona, and it was like that, and it hadn't been
Bro.
cracked open. Hadn't been cracked open yet. It was
Did you crack
literally. Well, I tried to crack it, but I didn't have the tools with me. I was on a hike with a buddy, and then we left it. We were gonna come back and try to get it, but like, even if we would have,
Bro, you realize that's worth like $1 million, right?
probably, yeah. But
Where
then
is
we
it at?
weren't
Let's go
able
get
to
it.
break it. We went back and couldn't find it, but I'm sure there's more
What the
where we
heck?
found it. That's insane.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't-
Northern
I don't
Arizona
know.
has
I don't-
tons of
I
that
think
stuff.
there's some kind of a. This is an act of God in some kind of way. This is not just random chance. And
You can make them, bro. There's like a kit you can get that you make a little geode.
well, I don't doubt that obviously if you
My
do have
first
minerals
geode.
and water, I'm just saying like that is not developing naturally because we don't believe that it could happen because we don't believe in millions of years. So how did that happen?
What you're
Oh, it doesn't
ultimately
happen-
trying to
it
say
happens
is
fast.
it's a quick thing.
Yeah, it happens fast. You can make them. It happens fast. It's not millions of years old.
So we're in the wrong business, is what you're
Yeah.
trying to say.
Yeah.
We need to be making giant geodes.
Make me one of those,
It's on
Brian,
'em.
just like that.
I'll make you one, bro. Purple. You want purple and green? Or you just want purple?
Yeah, what,
Wait,
what
so
colors do you
where
want?
where
Some lilac?
so where are geodes typically found?
In areas that are mineral rich water spaces, probably. It's in deserty places that used to be water rich, I think, or something like that.
Brian, I hope you understand where I'm getting at. They were developed in a place that was destroyed.
Same
Yeah, yeah,
areas
yeah.
where you find melted structures.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That I don't know. I just made the connection of like the beautiful crystal colors in those petrified logs, and then knowing that in these same regions they find these rocks that if you crack them open, they're just full of crystal. Is that evidence of fervent heat? Something got smoked.
At some point in time, you guys do realize at some point in time we're gonna have to like pool our resources and actually like test some of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
we're
down.
Like
I'm
for real,
down.
like we're gonna have to actually test some of this stuff. We're gonna have to like make a little lab, buy some gear.
I don't think
Get
geodes are
some-
made with heat. They're made, I think there's like time. I think it's time and just like the right type of minerals or something.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
What
once
if
we
it
get
has
our
something
gear.
to do with the fact that okay, so when you had a city, right? Let's just talk about like Sedona. So if you had a city there, well, it wasn't just buildings. They had lots of stuff there too. What happened when all that stuff got melted? Because we only talk about when the brick turned into deformed brick. What about all the treasure and the stuff that they had in those places too?
So what you're saying
Yes,
is, what
heat
if
is a key factor in the formation of many geodes, especially those found in volcanic rock. Geodes begin as hollow cavities, often created by gas bubbles, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Mhm. Who knows?
We need
what
to.
if there were electronics inside of them at one point in time, and that's
what
why
if they
all
were?
turned
What, yeah.
like
What
that?
if they were like
What if they were
So-
fart bubbles?
what if
that
it was
were
a
caught
situa-
by the Nephilim? They're Nephilim fart bubbles
Brian.
caught in the mud,
Brian?
and they turn into crystals.
Why are you trying to lower the conversation to the
Sorry.
gutter level? What if it's something like Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and he's got all these crystals that are computer parts, right? Because that's what the mythos of Superman is. He takes a crystal and he sticks it in a thing, and then there's a projection on the screen. What if there was Antiquitech that involved crystals, and this is all that's left of them? What if those geodes are computers? Ancient computers.
Wouldn't be surprised.
It's kind of a
They
stupid
say
idea,
rocks,
but maybe.
water
I
and
would be
rocks
surprised,
hold
but
memory.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, where does that idea come from in the Superman comics?
well, crystals can hold data. We actually created crystal data now.
Okay,
It's
so
like
what
a
if
technology.
that's not a new thing? Which, based on this conversation we had on this podcast, ain't none of that stuff new. So what if they had what looks to us like a more primitive way of doing things, but it was more advanced because it had maybe less moving parts?
I think
Yeah.
the truth is so much more simple than everyone understands. I think that everything we're given right now is so overly complicated and complex intentionally. Like, I think it really is just like so simple. I'm sure at some point in time they were able to store data on like quartz crystals and different things like that, and they probably had a way to read them. They probably had like very simple ways to read and write to those things. And now we do the same thing, except we just crush a bunch of those different types of rocks together and then crush and then form it into a disc and do the exact same thing.
Here's what I'll tell you. I will tell you that crystals and demons go hand in hand. And anytime
see,
I
that's
deal
the
with
new
somebody,
age stuff. Is like, yeah, they go to Sedona, like they got the crystal shops all over those places.
well, here's the thing. Anybody that I deal with that's got schizophrenia, I almost for sure can bet if they've got schizophrenia, they collect crystals. Like that's like a common thing. Like every person that's got schizophrenia, it's like they want to collect crystals. So,
Well, what if
and
the reason
you know,
what if the reason that the crystals are involved in witchcraft in the New Age? Because what if they are ancient technology, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, right? So, like, I think we're realizing there's a fine line between technology and the demonic realm.
Right.
So,
right.
like the crystals, as Brian knows, like they literally harness demonic energy. Like,
Well, look
like
at all
demons
the
can
displays we
inhabit
have.
a
What, aren't they
crystal.
liquid crystal displays? All
Right.
the monitors and TVs we got
No,
now,
for
they're
sure.
liquid
Yes.
crystal.
Our black mirrors, yes.
So what if that's a thing where we would think that these witches and these New Agers, they know that there's something about them, but they really don't know it. It's kind of like if you had primitive people, like what they said. I mean, again, if these stories of World War II are correct or not, that they would fly on to these islands, and these people have never seen like a white person, and then they come with goods and things, and then they build an airplane looking thing because that's when the people brought them all the bounty of goods, and then so they start to worship their airplane image, right? And then so now you have somebody like us, we're like, we have no idea what these things actually were, and then so they start worshiping the crystal when it's just part of a device that ancient peoples actually used, ancient Nephilims, or just in the old world they were just advanced technology, and now people just say, oh, this crystal's cool, and I'm going to kind of use it to connect with the spiritual realm.
I hope we get all these answers in our lifetime, but I'm not counting on it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm going to show one more video, and this is a real quick one. I just thought it was funny. You guys remember that movie? Was it Horton Hears a Who?
Oh yeah, that was actually a great movie.
Yeah. So there was this one little one-off line in the movie that I'm sure everyone missed, including myself.
We can be a secret society that controls the balance of power in the world.
Horton.
And no one else can join unless they wear funny hats!
Wonder what those funny hats look like.
Well, it could be like the Shriners, but it could be the tiny little hats, or it could be also the other weird hats.
Well,
Speaking
both
of
them are
hats,
tiny hats.
You want to know something funny? Like the witch hat, there was a original hat. It was called a Juden cap. Do you know about the Juden caps or the Juden hut? Okay, look at this. This is the Juden hut. Look at that. These
What
are the
heck?
Juden huts.
Let me look up the picture of that. The Juden
And these
Juden hut.
Yeah, and this is where actually witchcraft hats originated from, and they were hats. They look like Teletubby hats now, but back in the day,
Dude,
you can
that
see other
totally looks like a
depictions.
Teletubby hat.
Yeah, and so the Juden huts, yeah, and like here's the thing, like they were forced to wear them by the
It's a
king.
bad look, dude.
Well, yeah, I know. That's
pretty crazy, dude.
They were forced to wear these Juden huts because it was like if you practiced witchcraft and you were accused of sorcery, you had to wear this hat, like to be, identified.
I guess they don't all have the things. Maybe the yellow one does.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Close enough. What's up with the weird hats, though? But I mean, again, in that movie, Horton Hears a Who, what a weird line to have in some kids' movie. They're definitely saying something without
of course
explicitly
they are, dude.
saying it.
Yeah.
But I guess it's
too many
I guess it's
coincidences.
up to anyone's imagination which secret society with the funny hats they're talking about. Because lots of them have funny hats.
That's up to everyone's discretion.
Maybe it's our funny hats.
Well, anyways, guys, on that note, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Again, there's a lot of uncut stuff on this episode. And so if you guys liked the uncut stuff, please check it out on Patreon, where you can see it early and uncensored. And if you guys want to support this podcast and your health at the same time, please check out Modern Roots Life and also grab a t-shirt if you'd like. But anyways, guys, I really appreciate all you do for us. We love you guys. God bless. See you next time.